Thank you for watching Sportsbook Review. This is the Jimmy the Bag Show, episode 4, and we have one of the best comics in this country joining us right now. Born in Jamaica, bred in Montreal, now makes his home here in Toronto. Lots of credits to give off of his great career, which I will mention. But first, let's welcome into the show Cedric Newman in the house.
Woo!
Ced.
The J, the I, the M, the Y, the J, the I, the M. It's Jimmy Ding Dong. Yes!
Jimmy Ding Dong.
Brought your little gift there, man.
Oh,
there we
this,
go.
man. Look at
You got
this.
your own.
My own Cedric Newman shirt. I love it. Fuck off, that's funny.
Yeah.
There we go with Cedric Newman, comedian. I like it, man. Thank you
man,
very much.
You can wear that to bed with a belt on.
Of course. That's how I wear all my shirts. To bed with a belt on. All right, Cedric Newman joining us right now. Starred on Much Music, the Comedy Network. Can be seen this weekend at the Halifax Yuck Yucks. And now making an appearance on the Jimmy the Bag Show right now. And you grew up in Montreal during the Expos heyday. Let's start with that, man. What was that like?
Oh, man. I was 7 years old. Kids don't go out by themselves now. It was just a gang of 7 years old getting on the subway, going all the way to the east end of Montreal to watch an Expo game. $2 hot dogs. They had steamers. They'd carry steamers on their chest, like big, heavy steamers. Shan Show hot dog. That's what we hear. Shan Show hot dog, $1. Like bleacher seats, $2. Man, you can't have that no more.
Well, that was in the Olympic Stadium, which has to be the shittiest stadium I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it looks like an anus. It's a big O, right? It was built for the Olympics, and then the Expos moved from Jarry Park to go play in the Expos in the stadium, right?
And that
Rusty Staub was with them back in the heyday.
Well, they were talking about Dan Kelly was talking about Jerry Park, but that was when Montreal was, which I'm not saying it isn't now, but that's when all the construction companies were run by the mob.
Yes.
So they built Olympic Stadium, and they, that probably could have cost $500 million, but it cost what, like a couple bill?
Yeah, a couple bill. Yeah. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, we are allowed to talk about that.
Like if you watch the series Bad Blood, you'll get to know about all the illegal stuff that was going on back then.
So, was it 1993 when the strike? I guess it was 94.
It was
93,
94,
90, oh yeah, 93 was the Jays. 92, 93 was the Jays. 94 was the strike. The Expos are winning in the NL.
70 and 47, if I'm not mistaken. We went into before the strike. We were the top team in baseball.
What was the attendance like then? Were you guys packing?
Yeah, we were ready. We were ready to blow. That was our year. That was the year we were gonna win it. We had the Shields was gone, but we had Marquis Grissom. We had El Presidente. Yeah. Come on, that's the kind of the Expos their farm team would get the best guys. We had Randy Johnson at one point. El Presidente, you know where he was from? Nicaragua. Who knows any baseball players in Nicaragua? Like, they were finding players everywhere. Vladdy came a little later. That team was so Grissom was gone. DeShields, Gary Carter was still there.
So how angry was it? Palpable? Like, how angry? Because I know we're going to talk about the Habs and the Riots and stuff like that soon, but how angry were these Expo fans when they shut the season down?
Do you remember, you want to know how angry we were? Remember Moises Alou? Remember when the kid grabbed the ball? Remember how angry he was? Yeah. That's how angry.
Bartman.
Yes.
Bartman.
That's how angry we were in 94, man. It was
And it never came back.
Never came back. That was it. That was the beginning of the end. That's what we call the beginning of the end, man.
Okay, all-time, Coco Bongo says, didn't the roof start to fall on the field? Yeah.
Yes, it did, actually.
Yeah, it did. Dan Kelly says, supposed to have the distinction of having the best and worst home stadiums. Jerry Park and the Big O.
The Big O, yeah. And then also, too, it wasn't, our stadium wasn't downtown. It was in the East End. The exit was called P9. But if you're English, you would say Paix. So you wouldn't know how to find it because it reads Paix, but it was P9. And it was way in the East End. Who wants to go out there?
Montreal is a great city. It's a great city, but they do. Now, are you fluent in French?
Oui, je parle français.
All right, because they don't like it if you can't speak French.
Well, that's why they try to protect their language, right? They're afraid of Anglicization. It means they're gonna lose their language, and they feel that way, and that's why they protect it. I just got back from Cuba. If you're in Cuba and you ask anybody from Canada, they say Canada. But if they're from Quebec, they go, I'm from Quebec. They don't say Canada, from Quebec.
No, I feel you. And best strip clubs in the world. And we can talk about that shortly. All-time favorite Montreal Expo.
I'd have to go with the Hawk, Andre Dawson.
Yeah.
He started out in right field. That the 81 team, Andre Dawson was in right field. They moved him to center field after, but I used to deliver the Gazette. I was 10 years old then, right? So I used to deliver the Montreal Gazette, and one of the players I delivered to in his condo was Warren Cromartie. He started at first base, and they moved him out into the outfield after. And if he had a bad game, he wouldn't get his paper. I wouldn't give him his paper.
Carlos Peroche being, this is going to hurt. Carlos Peroche, our guy, he's from Washington.
Yeah.
So he says, we will share our world championship with you.
Oh, man. When you guys went to Washington, when the Expos went to Washington, that team was so bad, even Yuppie didn't go, man. Yuppie stayed with the Habs, man.
Yuppie was the best mascot of all time until Gritty.
Gritty looks like Yuppie on crack, bro.
Gritty just got off an assault charge.
You heard that little kid?
Gritty just got off an assault charge.
That guy's aggressive.
Gritty's the shit. I love Gritty.
But he embembles the Philly crowd. That's how they are. They're aggressive. That place, man.
They are aggressive. Flats 45 says turf destroyed Dawson's knees. And Mr. Gokes are giving a shout out to St. Catherine.
Yeah, man. Super sex. Yes. I'll take the soup.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were an Expos fan growing up in Montreal, then you must remember Blue Monday.
Yes. Like I said, I was grade 5. It was an afternoon game. It was October 19th. It was a Monday. And they took us out of the class into the auditorium to watch it on a tube TV. It wasn't black and white. It was color TV. But they took us to watch it on a tube. And when Rick Monday hit that home run, I remember like it was yesterday. It was top of the 9th inning, 1-1. We brought in our ace, Steve Rogers. And boom, Rick Monday hit it out. And that was it. Everybody's hearts just fell.
Wow.
Yeah. Why did you have to open up old wounds, man?
Another people says no soup for you. He's not being the super sex. So what do you think? Tampa Bay Rays, they want to play half of their games in Montreal. Does the city care about that? Are they excited about that? Do they want that?
We will take anything at this point, but I don't know. A lot of the old Jewish people and they all go down to Florida anyway, so they're going to get the support from the Montrealers. A lot of Montrealers are in Florida.
Yeah,
so it's going to be a lot of old people, but they'll still get the support.
Yeah, we'll see. I
don't think it's going to happen, though, tell you the truth.
They got to do something with Tampa. But I mean, we don't want to see games back in the Big O. You guys got to build a stadium downtown.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy.
All right, so you grew up baseball. Your friends were into baseball. You had a buddy named Larry. Larry had an interesting story.
Okay, so Larry's sister Elizabeth, he was a good friend of mine. We grew up together, and Elizabeth ended up marrying Barry Bonds. So I had met him on a few occasions. We got to see a few games because he played for San Francisco. No, he played for the Pittsburgh first. He played for Pittsburgh first. Then he
got to watch the hammering on the table.
Sorry.
It's okay. The more we talk about the Expos, the harder you're ready to the table. So.
Aggressive, yeah. So I got to be. He wasn't really a fan guy. He was he was a prick.
Yeah, that's the story of him. And so he met his wife.
I mean, we all grew up in the same neighborhood, and he met his wife. I think he met her at the Expo game, to tell you the truth, or after one of these. They used to have the clubs after everybody go to, so that's where he met her. Very beautiful girl.
So, do you think that Barry Bonds and his tiny testicles should be in the Hall of Fame?
He did put out. It's cheating. It is cheating. It's I don't know. It's a good question, man. He did put up those numbers, though. He did hit that ball, whether steroids or not. You still got to hit the ball, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, let's talk about it. I mean, should the Astros pay a bigger penalty for the sign stealing?
They cheated and they got away with it. They won. What are you going to say? It came from the top down. They're hitting garbage cans, but they still got to hit the ball. I mean, it was algorithms, right? And you have an advantage when you know what pitch is coming. But at the end of the day, I still think you got to hit that ball. So they won. You can't change it.
Yeah,
you can't change it. That's the bottom line. They won, and they're gonna take a lot of slack for it now. They brought in Dusty Baker.
That'll help.
And guess who was on that Dodgers team in '81?
Yeah,
a fellow by the name of Dusty Baker. He's an outfielder, and he won with the Dodgers. They beat the Yankees that year. actually. And the Yankees had some no-name guys like Dave Winfield, Reggie Jackson, Candy Molina, you know what I mean? Fernando Valenzuela, remember that guy?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, speaking of Dominican there, let's Tony Fernandez, R.I.P.
Yeah, sadly, 57 years, young man. They say that Tony Fernandez put the Jays on the map.
Yeah, he was a big part of that.
Yeah.
93. I came down for that parade. That parade in 92, 93, I was about 22 years old. I came into town to just see the parade. Toronto people lost their minds. They were on top of buses, on top of cars, rocking stuff. They think it was bad that we looted when we won. If the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup, that CN Tower's coming down, bro.
I think we have a long time to wait on that. Let's talk about. So you grew up a goaltender in hockey. You played goalie, and we're talking about Riots. Tell us a little bit about the Habs Riots.
86 we won. We beat the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames got their revenge in 89. We beat them 4-2. And right then it was in the middle of us. Remember, Oilers won 2 years before.
Yeah.
We won 86, and Oilers won 2 more with Gretzky, and then they won after without Gretzky. And so the Habs won that series. We didn't expect them. There was 90% Canadians on that team, and they had 2 enforcers.
Yeah, and
remember that?
We talked about that with Steve. So the enforcers are gone now. There are no more enforcers really in the NHL. And that Montreal Canadiens team had 2 of them.
2 enforcers. Chris Nyland and the Kordic was, he passed away, but they were a tough team, and a young Patrick Roy who was aggressive. Patrick Roy stood on his head that whole playoffs, and that's why they won it. And after we went downtown, I got a phone call that they're rioting downtown. What are you gonna do when you're a kid in high school? Go join the riots. There's breaking windows. I got so many Fila tracksuits. Right there. Yeah. I got we couldn't afford Fila. You know how much a Fila tracksuit was back then? $300. Everybody in my class had it on. In grade 9, we all had Fila tracksuits for the whole. We didn't even ski. We're black people that didn't ski, but we had ski Fila goggles wearing the class.
Sure. Well, let's talk. So with the 86 riots, there were also riots in 93. In Vancouver, I was in the 2011 when the smoke started rising up. I was very dejected. That was different. When we lost to the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup Final in Game 7, we were all going downtown after the game. There was going to be a parade anyways. We all went downtown, and there wasn't anger. I mean, we'd lost, but we were so proud of that team, so proud of Trevor Linden, so proud of that team. And so we're on Robson Street, and there's no sign of anything. There's this naked dude on a pole. So he climbed up the pole, and he was dancing and drinking up on this pole, and he fell.
Okay.
So he bails. They need to get the ambulance in, and the people on Rob Street thought they were trying to stop the party.
Yeah.
And immediately smash and grabs, and I got tear gassed, and I guess I should say immediately. I mean, it kind of took over like an hour and a half or 2 hours. But what was the difference between the 86 riots and the 93 riots?
The 86 riots was our first cup in a long time. I think that one was the more aggressive of the two. And 93, they were a little more prepared for that. So the cops were already downtown. They couldn't stop it, but they were downtown because they were expecting it. Quebecers are just crazy.
Well, you have a rich history of riots from the Roger Richard days.
I wasn't around for that, but we do got a history of that.
No.
Yeah, the 93 Habs team was they won 10 overtime games. Toronto hated them because they thought they should have been in the finals because I remember the Gilmore, the Gretzky thing in the back. So Gretzky took a team, he left in 88, and he took a team in LA where nobody really, Marcel Dion was around back then, but he took that team to the finals and lost. And whoops. And that 10 overtime win team was really a good team, man.
They were. That was a special year. That was a
Denny Savard was supposed to be our star player, but he was hurt most of the year. So, and another, like I said, Patrick Roy stood on his head again. That 10 overtime, that's unheard of.
Well, we're going to talk, get into some basketball. Why don't we get into some basketball now? And our guy Cedric here, he coached basketball here in Toronto, mostly in Mississauga, right? Yeah. So you coached some famous players. You coached against famous players. Yeah. One guy you coached, Nick Stauskas, which a lot of us will remember. He's 8th overall pick in the draft, Sauce Castillo. You coached him for 3 or 4 years, right? Yeah. So he's drafted by the Kings. And interestingly enough, I was looking him up. He just got terminated his contract. He's no longer playing for anybody. He was in He had signed in the Spanish EuroLeague, and on February 12th, so what? Just 5 days ago, they cut him.
Wow.
So Stauskas has gone from the 8th overall pick in 2014 to, and I'm curious. So did you think when you were coaching him in high school that this was a guy who could play in the NBA? Did you think he had the heart to play in the NBA? Did you
at the time he was 1 year younger than the rest of our players, but he put in the time. His nickname was Sick Nick. We called him Sick Nick. And the difference between him and any of the other guys on my team, after practice is over, everybody goes home. Nick had a court in his backyard, 100 shots every night. Wayne Gretzky had a ice in his backyard in Brantford. You know, he'd go and put in. You got to put in the extra time. I don't care how good you are. You have to put in that time. And Nick Stauskas put in that time. And it also helped that he went from 5'11" to 6'6" in 2 years.
Real
right?
quick.
From grade 11 to his prep school, and then he went to Michigan Wolverines.
Talking about Stauskas and now no team. Interesting. You know, he's such an interesting career. His first game with each new team, right? He played for like 6 different teams all the time. He would always light it up, go for 22, 24. He had the stuff, but he just couldn't continue it. Danny Menlo saying, Jimmy, you said Cedric parties with athletes is here some dirt. We will get into that very shortly. Let's talk about the guys you coached against. Tristan Thompson, the Ennis brothers. I thought Tyler Ennis was going to be a player. Tristan Thompson, Ennis brothers, tell us a little bit about
that. Tristan played Brampton Blue Devils, and then he went down to a prep school. He was always with Corey Joseph. They usually were paired together, and he ended up going to Texas, and he did well. But Tristan was in grade 5, he was my height. He was 6 foot in grade 5. Like, he was crazy. And we were a grade 4 team playing against them. And when the coach put his bench on, I'd put my grade 5-4s out, and we would, like, catch up. And then he put those kids back in. And Dylan Ennis was part of that team. And Tristan was just ball. Like, he played it probably 11 months of the year, man. It was crazy. And he did well at Texas, you know. 1 year. He played 1 year at Texas, right? Before he went to the league. He got drafted by Cavaliers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and, Thompson's had a good career. I thought Tyler Ennis was going to have a career. I thought he'd have a career similar to Corey Joseph, but the Ennis brothers never made it.
No.
Was Tyler Ennis the best of the Ennis brothers?
Yeah. Dylan put in hard work. Tyler too. Tyler was a gym rat, and he played for Syracuse, and he had a great year that year. And he came into the league, and he was with Phoenix, and I don't know why he never took it to the next level. I really couldn't tell you. He wasn't a big kid either, right? So that could and I think somebody else came into
And you were saying that Tyler Ennis didn't even play for Canada.
Huh?
He didn't even play for Canada.
No, he didn't play for Canada. No.
So he went.
No, it was Dylan Ennis. Played for Jamaica.
Oh,
team for Jamaica. His dad was Jamaican. Yeah.
Dan Kelly says, talk about the worst draft pick of all time, Anthony Bennett. Man, first overall, Anthony Bennett. So I watched Anthony Bennett in the 905s, right? I love going to 905 games. I watch him in 905s. And the Raptors tried to get him going. Well, why did Anthony Bennett not succeed?
Okay, I'll tell you. Bennett, I refed basketball Mississauga. Bennett had a 25-year-old body, but a 14-year-old mind. So his mind never caught up to his body. And they took advantage of a weak draft. And when he found out he's going number 1, he went into the bathroom, threw up all over the place, right? So his mind never caught up to his body. And I heard that they're working with him, and he's trying to make a comeback. Because he had like a body of a man, but a mind of a child. And that'll never work, right?
14 picks in front of Giannis Antetokounmpo. 14 picks in front of Giannis. And the Mavs could have got Giannis Antetokounmpo, but the story goes they didn't want to spend the $35,000. I don't know the exact parts of it, but it was a $35,000 expenditure they didn't want to make to draft Giannis Antetokounmpo.
The best thing.
Yeah, Carlos Baroche, best thing Thompson did was get a Kardashian pregnant. It's not bad. Let's start talking about some famous dudes that you've partied with. Let's talk about some of these famous athletes that you've
one of them. Ray Emery.
Ray Emery was. And there's another. Yeah, it's interesting that so many of the guys that party the hardest are dead.
Yeah. Ray Emery had a couple drinks with him. And
Ray Emery's story of dying is so mysterious.
Yeah.
It was last year. They found him in the lake
in Hamilton. Yeah, he supposedly jumped in the water for a swim, and he knows how to swim. And I don't know. Nobody knows what happened. It was a mystery, right? So. Who knows, man? It fits a stereotype. Black people can't swim, but
I'll let you make that joke. Let's keep it. Ray Emery. You also partied with Carey Price when he came in.
I went into a bar, and he was there with the Castitsins, and he was a young kid.
Those Castitsins were party animals.
And it was a Russian bar. And,
they're back in the KHL immediately.
They got rid of them. Yeah. The Habs take take their hockey seriously, and Carey Price. He was a young, good-looking BC boy. was in there.
Anaheim Lake, way up north.
Yeah, you hand them $3 million with these hot French strippers. What do you think's gonna happen? So they had a team meeting and they said, listen, Price, chill out on the partying, and we're gonna make you our number one goalie. But this year we're gonna put Halak as our number one goalie, and Halak played that playoffs. And I think he went to St. Louis after, right? I think right.
I believe that.
And then Price cleaned up and he won the cup with Team Canada. So yeah, and I met PK in his rookie year, man. That was he was just at a place called Trant in South Shore. That was the place where the Habs used to go, and he just looked like he's just like starry-eyed, and the kid ended up doing well, man. But they traded him at the last minute. Like, he should have pulled that.
Kenny Robinson was talking about PK because PK still donated all that money to the Sick Kids Hospital, even though he wasn't playing for Montreal.
Yeah.
Respect. So there was John Avery. Some of you guys may remember him with the Dolphins. He was a first-round pick in 99? 99, first-round pick.
And he won with the Argonauts in 2004, I think.
Yeah, he had a monster year for the Eskimos. Yeah. He hurt himself. After his rookie year and had difficulty coming back. Let's talk a little bit about John Avery, because John Avery's a stand-up comic that I've worked with, but you've worked with a ton of times.
I took him to open for me at a gig in Brampton, and John Avery went on just before me, had a great set. And I came on stage. I said, hey, everybody, keep it going for John Avery. And they said, yeah. I said, do you want to see his Grey Cup ring? And everybody's like, yeah, we want to see the ring. I said, it's at the pawn shop on Rutherford and Queen. Oh, yes, fuck you, nigga. I mean, I have to say this.
Yeah, of course. You are.
So Avery was doing stand-up. The very first time I met Avery was 2006. I was hosting an amateur night downtown, Yuck Yucks, and Avery walked in with Ricky Williams.
So Ricky, you guys remember Dick trades the whole draft class for Ricky for the number one overall pick, which we knew would be Ricky. So Ricky, when he was dealing with all of the weed situations, he came up and played for the Argos.
Yeah, so him and John Avery walked in. John Avery wanted to do a set there, and he wanted to watch the comedy. And Ricky Williams walked in, and he was a big guy, right? So I see him, I go, oh my gosh, it's John Avery, Ricky Williams. I go, Ricky, you got any weed? And he's like, he had the littlest voice for the biggest guy. He's like, that was very funny. I'm like, what? I go, Ricky, how do you play in the NFL and then come to the CFL and get hurt?
Yeah, he got hurt, right? He broke his forearm. His forearm. He was having an okay year.
Yeah, but what John Avery had said to me, CFL was harder than the NFL because the NFL, they start from a standstill. CFL, he said, they come at you. They're moving already.
Snoop Dogg loves that shit.
Yeah. So
Snoop loves that's his favorite rule.
Yeah. So John Avery said it's hard, and it's a wider field, and it's not as easy as people think it is, right?
Yeah. I went to my first NFL game, and I was like, oh, I enjoy this because the CFL field is enormous. When they're at one end, you don't even know what's going on. I enjoy the CFL. Speaking of CFL, did you ever go to Alouette games?
Yes, I went to a couple of them, actually. I went to a few of them, and I wasn't a big CFL fan, but...
Does Montreal care about the Alouettes?
Yes, remember, they were hurting for a little bit. They came back, and then they came back, and what's his name? Their quarterback, Vince... the quarterback for the Alouettes. He won with them.
The First Nations guy.
He's
like one of the best in the league.
Why can't I remember his name right now?
What the hell's wrong? We haven't been talking football enough. Alouettes star quarterback. Oh, this is embarrassing.
Keep going. Anthony
Calvillo.
Calvillo. He won quite a bit with them.
We just don't remember. And Johnny Football came over there.
He didn't do very well. The worst thing they could have done with Johnny Football, he was a big partier too, right? He went from the Browns to Hamilton.
Yeah.
If you don't know Hamilton, it's the biggest party town in Canada, probably. So that wasn't a good place for him. He didn't do very well up here. And they don't pay a lot of money. So a lot of friends that I knew that played in the CFL, they ended up having summer jobs, like putting on people's sneakers.
Man, working down a Foot Locker or a fireman. There was a couple of firemen in there. Yeah, man. I can't believe I couldn't remember Anthony Calvillo's name. What an embarrassment. What an astonishing embarrassment I am. All right. Nodpickle says Americans play the CFL. They run out of breath early. I don't know about that. All right. Well, let's talk about, Cedric, it's known around the comics that you've probably betted every woman on the Eastern Seaboard. That's hottest female athlete.
I always loved Serena. I was a big Serena fan. Serena was Tick. That's what Jamaicans call him. We call him Tick. And she was one of my favorites. What, she won 23 majors?
23 majors. Can you believe Drake got there?
Oh my gosh.
That guy.
Drake been everywhere.
Is there anything he hasn't done?
J-Lo. He already got J-Lo too.
How does Drake get? Oh man, Drake. God, he knows what it is.
Kiki.
Serena. So Serena, yeah, you'd say that your hottest female.
Yeah. Serena's right up my alley. Do you remember what was that? What was that tennis star that never won anything? She was hot. Kornikova
Was hot. And then we had the Canadian female tennis player that was very attractive as well. She's
from Quebec
around right now, right? I don't watch enough tennis. Dear Slayer Ski says Serena is gross. I disagree. Dear Slayer Ski.
Depends what you think of gross. No, she's I like Serena. What do you consider hot?
Let's get a quick pick.
Martina Navratilova.
Paco Healy says, "Isn't that where Babano lives?" Yes, Hamilton. Hamilton. So you really think Hamilton's the biggest party scene? Because you go nonstop back and forth across the country touring. You tour all through Europe. You really think that Hamilton is the?
It depends what you consider party. But I'm saying Vancouver is a big party town. Like that. That's the place for party. But Hamilton, when I say party, I mean they're just druggies up there. So. Hamilton's pretty bad.
Oh yeah, Jay's saying Jeannie Bouchard.
Yeah, Jeannie Bouchard. Yeah, she's pretty hot. She can't win anything, but she's
No. And now we have the number one female tennis player probably in the world.
But she's very prone to get hurt, huh? I don't know if she's gonna win another one for a while. I think she's strong enough to win it, but it's gonna be tough. When you hand a kid that much money, it's going to be hard for them to have the hunger. And, they're doing commercials now, doing everything. She won it very early in her career. Do you think she's going to get back to that? That's going to be the tough part, right?
I have one last question. We're going to have to put a bow on this show. It's been great. Cedric Newman here in the house. You can catch Cedric Newman if you are in the Maritimes, right? You're Halifax.
Yeah, Halifax and then St. John.
And you're doing a big fundraiser before you play the Yucks Club. What was that about?
It's this Saturday. It's going to be at the Casino Halifax. And it's a fundraiser for, the inner city kids and the basketball program. So if you know anybody out east, just come check it out. It's after the Yucks next week, Saturday, I think February 22nd.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. So do you think that the Toronto city here should have an NFL team, and do you think they would support it?
Of course, yeah. If look at Buffalo. Look at crappy Buffalo. People go there and support those Bills who lost 4 in a row in the 90s. We're going to support.
Do you think if we have an NFL team in Toronto that the CFL goes under?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Probably does, right? So I'm still against it. The CFL has been a very special league for us, and I want it to exist. So maybe that's just selfish, but I hope that we keep it the way it is.
Yeah, I think we should support our Canadians, man. Canada, we've been stepping it up, and I'm pro Canada, and they got the NFL there, and for all it is, and it's great football, but Canada, we got to support our own.
Yeah, no, respect. We're sitting here with Cedric Newman, episode 4 of the Jimmy the Bag Show, and you are on the Comedy Network right now, right? You have a gala from the Halifax Comedy Festival is on right now. You can catch him on the Comedy Network. Catch him this weekend in Halifax and also at the Halifax Casino Halifax. Yeah. Right? It's a nice casino over there, nice casino. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat today. Thank you guys for joining us. Christopher Commentini says CFL is good for gambling. It's been okay for us. It's been okay. Jimmy CC in the house. Boston Nick, a.k.a. Mr. Fat Fist. All you guys. Quick review of my action today. I have 3 looks in the NHL. I'm on the over 5.5 in Anaheim, Calgary. I'm on the under 6 in Florida, San Jose. There is a 6.5 at Bookmaker. If you would make a move there. And then I'm on the Lightning. What I expect is that when we come in here tomorrow, we'll be talking about how the Tampa Bay Lightning have now won 11 straight, their franchise record winning streak. That's what I expect we're going to be talking about tomorrow when I get back here, starring here at the Dog and Bear, 1100 Queen Street West. Join us. Come down. It's the best place in the city, in the country, to watch Raptors, Leafs. Join us. And Cedric Newman in the house. Ced, thank you so much for joining us.
Jimmy the Bag, support him.
Cedric Newman in the house. In the house. Thank you guys so much for watching Sportsbook Review. Like, subscribe, and also if you can, hit that link at the bottom of the screen, www.sbrvideo.com/thebag. I got nothing without you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get that cash. I will see you tomorrow morning here at 11 a.m. Happy President's Day. Happy Family Day. Enjoy this Monday off if you get it. If you're at work, get that work done and get that cash. Thank you guys.
Peace.